and the snow-blanketed wilds of Aspen, a woman's search for her mother becomes a perilous race for survival. Former Olympic skier turned private investigator Shane Riley, his fearless K-9 partner Elvis, and grieving art gallery owner Mallory are thrust into a high-stakes chase after a brutal attack at her business and a cryptic warning: he intends to kill you. As secrets unravel and truths are buried beneath years of lies, the trio must outwit masked intruders, dodge bullets, and confront a mysterious sister with conflicting motives. At the heart of it all lies the legendary Teardrop diamond, a priceless gem that holds the key to Mallory's past and someone's deadly intent. But with danger in every snowdrift and trust hanging by a thread, will they find Gloria before time and the mountain runs out? Amber's dire warning had come true. Or had it? Was this a setup? Shane glanced past Mallory, who stood frozen in the middle of the kitchen, and concentrated on Amber. Her haughty expression succumbed to panic. Tension and fear distorted her features. Amber was damn scared, and the people who charged through the front door had to be the ones who frightened her. Shane still didn't trust her motives, but he believed her terror was real. They needed to move fast before the intruders figured out that they were in the kitchen. While he kept his Glock trained on the swinging door from the gallery, Shane herded the women and Elvis toward the rear door. "Get in my car." "Key fob." Mallory held out her hand. "It's unlocked." "What if I want to start the engine?" He handed over the fob. "I'll drive." "Wait for me." As soon as the women disappeared into the mudroom, he braced himself. For a brief moment, he considered stepping into the gallery and attempting to work out some kind of compromise, but the continued shouts and crashes indicated violent intent. These guys hadn't come here for a negotiation. This was a hostile assault. The door from the gallery swung wide. Two men wearing black ski masks and heavy parkas charged into the kitchen. In a quick scan, they spotted Shane. Handguns raised, they aimed and fired. 4 shots. For Mrs. T raised his Glock and returned fire. The taller guy yelped and fell to the floor. Before his brain had time to process the fact that he might have killed a man, Shane pivoted and dove through the door into the mudroom. Grabbing his parka, he dashed outside. Mallory hadn't waited for him to take the driver's seat. She sat behind the steering wheel with the windshield cleared and the engine running. Smart move. He couldn't complain that he jumped into the passenger side. Go! Even though she wasn't familiar with Shane's Ford WD Lincoln, she deftly maneuvered out from behind reflections before one of the intruders burst through the back door and started firing at them. Bullets thudded against the rear of his car. In the back seat, Amber whimpered and wrapped her arms around Elvis, who had apparently forgotten that he didn't like this woman. He buried his nose in the fur-trimmed collar of her parka. Looking over his shoulder, Shane saw the boxy outline of a Hummer crossing the parking lot and stopping at the rear door. How many of them were there? He'd seen 2 in the kitchen, including the guy who'd fallen, and a third must be driving the tank-like vehicle. Were there others? His Glock handgun didn't seem like enough defense. He asked Amber, "Did you pick up your Beretta?" Her eyes were wide and frightened. "I have my gun. And you know how to use it, right?" She swallowed hard. "I'm not a good shot from a moving vehicle." "Nobody is," he said. "We might need the firepower later." "I'll be ready." Her trembling voice sounded anything but ready for a shootout. Oddly enough, Mallory, who appeared to be a peace-loving flower child, was the coolest person in their little combat group. She drove like a champ, skidding at the edge of disaster but not going too far. Her gloved hands rested steady on the wheel. When the navigator reached the stop sign at the street that had been cleared earlier this morning, she executed a sharp left turn without slowing. Dangerous move, but nobody else was on the road. They were headed into town. Shane took his phone from his pocket. "Drive directly to police headquarters. I'll call ahead and let them know we're coming." "No. Did you say no? You won't go to the police station." "Yes, I said no." Her flat refusal didn't make sense. Mallory had worked with the sheriff and the police chief during the search for her mother, which meant she didn't have a built-in resentment against law enforcement in general. He kept his tone level and calm, which wasn't the way he felt. Shane was, after all, the son of a cop. When somebody shoots at you, it's wise to tell the police. "At least let me call." "No," she was more adamant. From the back seat, Amber called out, "I see headlights following us." If the thugs who attacked at Reflections were on their tail, they had even more reason to contact the authorities. But Mallory had a different idea. At the next snow-plowed road, she took a right and raced past 4 other cross streets to a stoplight. Through the thick veil of falling snow, he spotted the headlights behind them. At this distance, he couldn't tell if the other vehicle was a Hummer or not. "Why won't you go to the police?" "Because I love my mother. I'll do anything for her." "You care about Gloria." "I get that." The bond with her mother ran deep and true. But what does that have to do with police protection? If half of what Amber told me is true, my mother broke the law. She faked her death and stole a fortune in precious gems. If we contact the police, there will be investigations and prosecutions. I refuse to be the person who sends Mom to jail. She cranked the steering wheel and turned left again. Too fast. The back of the car fishtailed wildly. The moment she got the skid under control, she went left again, then drove back to the main road. She checked her rearview mirror. Did we lose them? In the back seat, Amber and Elvis stared through the rear window. "I can't tell," Amber said. "There are a couple of other cars." "We might be able to end this right away," Mallory said. "We're going to Mom's place. I remember where she hid the teardrop after she showed it to me. Maybe it's still there." "Not likely," Amber said. "Wasn't that several years ago?" 16 years. It's still possible." Shane had no comment. Gloria's A-frame house had been their first stop when he signed on to be Mallory's PI. Together, they'd search for clues in her desk drawers, her closets, her bedside table, and even her pantry. He'd learned quite a bit about her mother, but nothing that pointed to her location. And he remembered the final stretch leading to the house. The road bordered a rugged granite wall on the left. The other side was a drop of a couple hundred feet. Not the sort of road to be driving on in a storm, especially not with bad guys on their tail. "This might not be the best time," he said. "Can't hurt to try." He knew she wouldn't be dissuaded. Mallory could be as sweet as a baby fawn but had the tenacity of a badger when she made up her mind. In that respect, she was somewhat like Gloria. The only way he could keep her safe was if he had control of the situation. Never again would he agree for her to be the one behind the wheel. She dodged through a couple more changes of direction and circled around until she and Amber felt sure they'd lost the Hummer. Mallory set her course for her mother's A-frame house in a high canyon. While the morning sunlight fought a losing battle with overcast skies, he peered in the direction of the ski runs on Aspen Mountain, which were obscured by a curtain of falling snow. The chairlifts and gondolas weren't open yet, but in a few short weeks, the slopes would be filled with skiers and snowboarders. Every year since he'd turned 18 and moved to Aspen full-time, he looked forward to opening day. This season, he hoped Mallory would be with him, flying downhill and soaring over moguls. He wanted to hear her laughter ringing in the frosty air, to see the roses in her cheeks and the sparkle in her turquoise eyes. She guided his navigator into the series of winding turns that led to Gloria's house. When they entered the stretch with the steep drop on the passenger side, he held his breath and slammed his foot down on the floorboard to press an invisible brake. A treacherous ride, but no one appeared to be chasing them. Covered in several inches of snow, the odd-shaped house, partly A-frame with a couple of gables, and a wall of glass on one side, reminded him of a fairy tale dwelling. A place where elves and fairies might live. He told Mallory not to park in the driveway where they might get stuck in the snow. "We don't want anybody to pull in behind us and block our way out." He swiveled his head and looked at Amber in the back seat. "Have you disabled your cell phone so your location can't be traced?" "How would I do that?" Inwardly, he groaned. Amber acted like she was tough and worldly wise. A lot of bluster, but she had very little idea of what it took to be on the run, evading the alleged villain. "What was his name?" "Conrad something." "Give me the phone." "You're not going to erase my contacts or anything, are you?" There were several apps to block locators, but he opted for the quick and easy method. "I'm turning it off and taking out your battery. When you need to make a call, let me know." Mallory parked uphill, off the side of the unplowed road. Though their tracks through the snow couldn't be hidden or erased, their position was set for a quick escape. Shane held out his hand for the fob. "You did good. I was born and raised in the mountains. I know how to drive through snow." He took a moment to fasten his dog's flashy red leather harness with shiny studs. A little bit sexy and a little bit rock and roll, it was perfect for a lab named Elvis. Shane didn't hook the leash onto the harness, preferring to let Elvis bound ahead while they slogged through the snow to the rear door, The dog shouldn't be with us, Amber said. He'll make noise. That's the point. Mallory kicked through snow that came almost to her knees. He'll alert us to anybody approaching. Shane didn't need a doggy alert to the danger he suspected wasn't far from them, but he liked having the 72-pound black Labrador on his side in a fight. In addition to training as an attack dog, Elvis had killer instincts and a ferocious growl. Reaching inside his parka, Shane rested his gloved hand on the butt of his holstered Glock while Mallory used her key to unlock the back door. She entered an open kitchen that was separated from a long dining room table by a counter where a collection of mushrooms, porcelain, wood and clay were displayed. Doodads and tchotchkes filled every space in a design scheme that could only be described as chaotic but not unpleasant. He liked the house and wanted to meet the woman who lived there. A cozy warmth snuggled around him. The many windows on two sides of the kitchen, which must have been added on to the original structure, made him feel like they'd entered a snow globe. It's weird, Mallory said, to be coming in here without hearing Mom's music. The greatest hits of the 90s. I remember. Amber's tone was uncharacteristically pleasant. Lots of Madonna and Michael Jackson. She loved to dance the Macarena. For the first time, Shane sensed that Amber's connection with Mallory might be the truth. Her unexpected appearance at Reflections had seemed too coincidental, and her story about a multi-million-dollar stolen diamond sounded like a fantasy. In spite of their matching turquoise irises, Amber had no proof that they were sisters. Watch me now. Mallory skipped into the front room, in front of the long dining table. Humming tunelessly, she moved in a horizontal line, clapped her hands and returned in the opposite direction. Elvis tried to match her steps, but it was Amber who faced her and provided a mirror image. At the end of the line, she said the magic words. Can't touch this. The dog shouldn't be with us, Amber said. He'll make noise. That's the point. Mallory kicked through snow that came almost to her knees. He'll alert us to anybody approaching. Shane didn't need a doggy alert to the danger he suspected wasn't far from them, but he liked having the 72-pound black Labrador on his side in a fight. In addition to training as an attack dog, Elvis had killer instincts and a ferocious growl. Reaching inside his parka, Shane rested his gloved hand on the butt of his holstered Glock while Mallory used her key to unlock the back door. She entered an open kitchen that was separated from a long dining room table by a counter where a collection of mushrooms, porcelain, wood and clay were displayed. Doodads and tchotchkes filled every space in a design scheme that could only be described as chaotic but not unpleasant. He liked the house and wanted to meet the woman who lived there. A cozy warmth snuggled around him. The many windows on two sides of the kitchen, which must have been added on to the original structure, made him feel like they'd entered a snow globe. It's weird, Mallory said, to be coming in here without hearing Mom's music. The greatest hits of the 90s. I remember. Amber's tone was uncharacteristically pleasant. Lots of Madonna and Michael Jackson. She loved to dance the Macarena. For the first time, Shane sensed that Amber's connection with Mallory might be the truth. Her unexpected appearance at Reflections had seemed too coincidental, and her story about a multi-million-dollar stolen diamond sounded like a fantasy. In spite of their matching turquoise irises, Amber had no proof that they were sisters. Watch me now. Mallory skipped into the front room, in front of the long dining table. Humming tunelessly, she moved in a horizontal line, clapped her hands and returned in the opposite direction. Elvis tried to match her steps, but it was Amber who faced her and provided a mirror image. At the end of the line, she said the magic words. Can't touch this. They went the other way. Together, they repeated the MC Hammer line. Can't touch this. Mallory laughed. Did Mom teach you this dance? Actually, it was Felix. She whirled, and her parka opened wide, revealing her belt holster with the Beretta tucked inside. Who's Felix? Shane asked. A friend from Sierra Leone. He came home with Dad after my mother was supposedly killed in an explosion in Freetown. Their two-story office building burned for over 48 hours. Everything was incinerated. Most of the inventory of gems were lost. I didn't think diamonds could burn, Mallory said. Amber stopped dancing. Her voice took on a smug, superior tone as she explained. Diamonds are made of carbon, like coal. So, yes, they can burn at extreme heat. Dad found a few intact, but the insurance paid for most of his loss. Shane had another question. Why didn't he keep the inventory in a fireproof safe? He did, she said coldly. The door to the safe was opened. Investigators believe that my mother opened it in the hope that she could rescue the gems, but she couldn't escape before the fire overwhelmed her. Before you ask, there was evidence of human remains but no way of identifying the victim. So long ago in a war zone, DNA testing couldn't be counted on. In the back of the safe, they found her wedding ring. Mallory shuddered. I know the story is untrue. Mom survived, and so did I. But it must have been horrible for you. It was. She flicked her wrist, as if she could dismiss a lifetime of bad memories. Felix helped. I was the only 4-year-old in Manhattan with an extremely tall male nanny from Sierra Leone with tattoos up and down both arms. He told me all kinds of good stories about my mother. But I didn't believe a word. Why not? Mallory gazed at her with deep sympathy. If my mother was such a wonderful person, why did she abandon me? Shane watched and cringed. If these two were, in fact, sisters, the differences between them made a stark contrast. A walking illustration of nature versus nurture, they shared genetics, but had been brought up differently, and they wanted very different things. Heartbroken, Mallory desperately yearned to find and protect her beloved mother who had been the center of her life since birth. Amber couldn't care less about Gloria. She was after a big payoff from the sale of the Teardrop, and figured her mother owed her that much. Mallory sighed. I wish you could know her the way I do. Back at you, Amber said. If you knew what she was really like, you might be glad she's gone. She'll come back. I just know she will. Don't be so sure. She might be. Okay. Shane stepped between them to interrupt that thought. The possibility of her mom's death was already driving Mallory up a wall. I think you ladies agree on a specific goal. You both want to find the diamond. And that means finding Gloria. Yes, Mallory said. An uneasy alliance, her sister chimed in. Let's get to it, Shane said. Mallory, you said there was a hiding place somewhere in this house. Where is it? Returning to the kitchen, she peeled off her parka and got down on her hands and knees. Though her jeans weren't form-fitting, her cute round bottom stuck up in the air, wiggling and distracting him. The more time he spent with her, the more common these moments of instant attraction became. Someday, he might be able to act on these urges. In the meantime, Elvis played surrogate for him, snuggling against Mallory, licking her face and bumping his hindquarters with hers that eye and the back of a lower kitchen cabinet. She flipped a small latch and removed a fake wood wall to reveal a safe hidden behind mixing bowls and pans. The combination is my birthday. I know because Gloria used it for everything. The lock opened easily, and Shane wondered if this somewhat invisible but easily accessible spot was a good hiding place for a priceless asset. After fishing around in the opening, Mallory pulled out a small, square-polished wooden box with dovetailed sides. The Teardrop was in here. At least I think so. It was such a long time ago. I might not be remembering correctly. Amber snatched the box from her hand and tore off the lid. There's nothing in here, not a thing. Damn, it was too much to hope we'd find it so quickly. When she discarded the box on the floor, Mallory snatched it up. Sitting cross-legged on the kitchen floor, she probed the satin lining of the box, trying to find a clue or a note. A shred of evidence. Forget it, Amber snapped. Your mother must have realized this was a lame hiding place and moved the diamond. You're wrong. Mallory peeled back the velvet on the bottom of the box. She smiled widely. I knew there was a reason for coming here, a reason for searching. What? Mallory held up the small object she'd found in the bottom of the box.